All right, we are continuing to follow the killing of 40 children on a school bus in Yemen. We first brought you this story last week, but now the United States says it is sending investigators to try to find out more about this Saudi coalition airstrike that caused the death of these innocent children. And now we have new video that is extremely difficult to watch of this tragedy. Let's go to our Nema Al-Bagher, who joins me now with more. And you've been reporting on this throughout. I know that last week when we spoke, they couldn't even cope with what they were trying to mourn through, couldn't even bring themselves to bury these children, and now they are beginning to do that.
And some of these bodies, Poppy, are so mutilated that the parents have not been able to identify their own children, so they're still going through the process of identifying a lot of the missing children. What this video that we have obtained through local officials shows us, though, is it shows how happy the children were in the hours and moments just before the strike. This was a long-awaited day out, a respite from the horrors of a childhood spent in war. I have to warn our viewers and you, Poppy, that these images are really distressing, but we think it's important that we show them. Take a look at this. They're taking roll call. They probably needn't bother. This is a day we're told the students had excitedly been awaiting for weeks. The little boy filming, Osama, swings the cell phone around to capture all his friends. They're due to graduate today after 2 months of religious summer school. First stop is a shrine to the Houthi martyrs. It may not seem like a fun day out, but in a city ravaged by war, this cemetery is one of the few remaining green spaces. The children scatter in a game of chase. Less than an hour later, and most of the children you see in this video were dead. Osama's phone was found in the wreckage of the bus, and with it, the children's last moments. CNN obtained the footage from local Houthi officials. This attack on the school bus carrying children by the US-backed Saudi-led coalition in Yemen has drawn condemnation. The coalition maintains the attack hit a legitimate target, trainers and recruiters of child soldiers. Still, the coalition is investigating and says it is fighting to reinstate Yemen's legitimate president after his overthrow by the Iranian-backed Houthi militias. 3 years on, though, and the devastation in Yemen continues. The surviving children struggle to piece together what happened.
أصحابي ما عبيتهم عبيت لواحد منهم قومته قام قلت هي أمضي قال وقف أدور أخي والله ما ألقيها أنا ضويت.
The scope of the tragedy still too difficult to absorb. Hussein is a medic, the first at the scene.
أول من أسعفته وشليته ابني أتفاجأت أحمد كان على وجهك كذا وصلت شليتك كذا أقول بك كذا الله أنه ابني أحمد. موقف مرعب جدا ما بلا قوة الله وعزيمة الله أن أدى الله سكينة من عنده بشكل الله.
Many of the bodies found after the attack are so mutilated that the process of identifying them has been drawn out and torturous. While the men busy themselves digging little graves, waiting to be filled one by one. You can hear the joy in Osama's voice. Ali, Muhammad, he calls out, chasing behind them. Wait. Let's take a picture. And the camera goes dead. The little boy who was filming that, Poppy, Osama, both he and his brother died. His parents spoke to us very briefly, but their grief is such that they were unable to really give us much beyond how absolutely heartbroken they are. Poppy.
Nema, thank you for being on this story and for bringing it to us as we learn more. Let's talk about what the U.S. is doing about this and the investigation that has begun. At the Pentagon, my colleague Barbara Starr with more. You know, the U.S.-Saudi relationship is central in all of this, right? And the arms deal between the UK, the US, and Saudi Arabia. Now Mattis says they are sending investigators over, and this was a Saudi coalition strike. So what happens now?
Well, Poppy, what we know is the Secretary of Defense, James Mattis, told reporters over the weekend he is sending a 3-star general, they are not issuing that person's name yet, to Saudi Arabia to find out what happened. In the Saudis conducting an investigation, the United Nations and the U.S. State Department also calling for an investigation. This 3-star general is tasked, at least for the moment, with trying to determine what happened and what needs to be done from keeping it from happening again. How welcoming the Saudi military will be to the U.S. military if there is any criticism to be had of Saudi actions here. The Saudis may not be very welcoming of that. What the U.S. has been doing in Saudi Arabia for years now is backing the Saudi-led coalition that operates in Yemen, helping with refueling aircraft. We don't know if that was involved here, and helping with targeting intelligence. And we also do not know what the U.S. may or may not have done to help identify this target. Poppy?
Okay. That's important reporting, Barbara. Thank you very much for that. Ahead for us, changing gears.